Hey, it's so good to see you guys again. Crazy times we live in. One of the things that I've always been taught is like when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. That's very much in my psyche. And so when I feel stressed about something or things aren't going as I would like, even if it's outside of my control, as the world, is, I like to do something that makes me feel like I'm contributing in a positive way and that I can make my little corner of the world a wee bit better. So that's what I've been doing this week. I've really been looking at my literal own backyard and going, what can I do here that helps myself, my family, my community be more resilient? How, if ships are blocked and they're unable to come to New Zealand to deliver, food or medicine or whatever the things may be, how organized are we as a family to deal with that? And I guess the kind of framework that I use is something called home front resilience. And this is something that was coined after World War II. And it's the ability of individuals, communities, and infrastructure to prepare for, withstand, and recover from disasters or crises, such as natural hazards or security threats. And it involves doing things like strengthening your building structures beyond minimum codes, developing local community support networks, and fostering mental preparedness. And by doing this, we're decreasing our dependence on external factors. And that's really what I want to do. And I guess it's one of those things where you think, oh, let's not waste a good disaster, like Winston Churchill said. Because for me, this is actually the essence of a lot of the things I do already. It's just that now other people can see that perhaps there's a purpose to it rather than me just being a little bit cray-cray. So the less dependence I have on a supermarket, the better. The less dependence I have, on a job, better, all those kind of things. So that's really what I'm doing. But I'm going to be starting here in the garden and looking at that first. And I think we'll do some more videos about home front resilience. I've had a good garden tidy up actually. I've worked quite hard over the last couple of days, just weeding, getting this sorted. You can see I've got a nice straight path. Well, that's not actually that straight, but I've got nice flat paths. My onion bed is ready to go. I'll show you what I'm doing there. See all these little onions here that have popped up? It's just self-sown, so they won't grow very well. So I'll just wait for them to get a little bit fatter, like more like this kind of thickness. And then I'm going to replant them. And I've got another little pile here as well. So I'll sort them out and just make sure that they're evenly spaced, and then hopefully we'll have a good number of onions that we're growing ourselves. What else have I got? These seedlings are doing really well. I showed you those in a video way way back. Carrots, of course, are storming along. I'm having a bit of a garden tidy up all over, so I've just done a lot of, cut the grass. I'm cutting back the herbs. Everything's looking quite good there. These are looking good, growing big nice and quickly. And then over here, this is my silver beet and kale section. They're easy to grow. So that's the winter garden, and it's nothing too exciting, but there's definitely enough greens there to prevent us from getting scurvy if that ever became a risk. I do have some really cool ideas though for improving our garden, which I'll take you through in a wee bit. But I did just want to talk a little bit about home front resilience again. And this has been really, really important in the past as well. So it's not a new thing. Like I said, it's from World War II. And it was so important during that time because unlike now, World War II was a total war, which meant everyone was kind of in it, actively supporting the war effort, either through production, voluntary work, or maintaining morale. And there were a lot of sacrifices and a lot of fear. And I guess I don't know. I just want to be prepared should this become the way of the future. What we are experiencing now is not a total war. If I never turned on the news, I would be oblivious to the fact that there was world conflict at the moment, that there were people in power kind of pulling puppet strings to try and make the world be a certain way. I wouldn't know any of that because, yeah, I'm not in it. I don't know anyone in it personally. So I think it's that balance of staying informed versus, getting too caught up in something that for the most part isn't impacting me, apart from the fact that there might be some shortages and fuel prices are high. And that doesn't stress me out as much as I guess you'd think. For me, some of these changes actually help me live in a way that I really like. Like, I like being resourceful, and I like my neighbours being resourceful as well. And sometimes behaviour change only comes through necessity. And I feel like that's what we're doing at the moment. Fuel prices are really high in New Zealand at the moment, so less people are going to drive their car. We're just going to drive our cars when we really have to. And I think ultimately that's a really good thing.
And there's something to be said for doing a job well. Just tidying the edges, making it look nice. It's a lot more fun to garden when you like the way things look. So they do say you never want to waste a good crisis, right? So you want to make the most of what you have. And for us, a big part of that is having a decent sized section close to the city in Ototahi, Christchurch. So I've had a really good clean up of the garden, as you guys would have seen. It's looking really good. Tons of carrots, lots of greens. We wouldn't get scurvy. I mean, wouldn't necessarily be eating like kings either, but we'd survive, I reckon. So let's have a look around here. I want to show you some of the big plans we have for our place. So this is a really sunny side of our section, but it's just a big concrete pad. The people who had this house before us, and I actually planted this Griselinea hedge. I don't know if you can even see that. It's so bright I can't see what you guys can see. I planted that big Griselinea hedge for privacy. I don't know if it's the right thing to do because it actually blocks off two gardens, I guess. So this here is potentially a good spot for us to put a greenhouse. There's nothing here. We don't use it at all. We've got a bedroom on one side and then our dining room here. I know, we did do double glazing. Those were the first windows we did, and I think in retrospect I should have actually put in a French door, but now that I've paid the money I don't want to redo that, if that makes sense. But if I'd put a French door in there, then that would have opened out to here, which could have been a nice outdoor space. So, if we end up living here for another 20 years, I'll probably do that. But for now, this here could be a great greenhouse spot, and that would improve our yields. Not sure exactly how big it is. Let's pace it out. 1, 2. So it's easily 10 metres long, but not that wide in most spaces. So if I use this space, it's probably, say, 4 or 5 metres, and I could easily have a 3 metre wide greenhouse. So that'd be pretty good. I think that would work out well. I'll show you the next thing we're planning. This is on my wish list. So we have this little worm farm, which I have had. Actually, this was an Easter present from my dad about 15 years ago, and I've kept it running all this time. It does leak a little bit now, you can see. The same worms as well. We've moved islands, and I took the worms with me in a container on the plane. Someone said, "Oh, what's in your ice cream container?" And I opened it for them, and they were like, "Ugh." I was in the airport lounge at that stage. Different life, different times, all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to get a much bigger worm farm, because I really don't like composting, because it does attract rodents and I'm a little bit scared of them. We did have a dead rat in our backyard just recently, and I'm not sure if that was from this compost pile that I have over here. It's not really a compost pile, it's just a pile of garden stuff. There's no food or anything in there, but I just wondered if there's something living underneath there, which I don't want. So anyway, I'll take you around the front and I'll show you what else we're up to, but definitely bigger worm farm, because at the moment, I'll just show you here in our green bin, we're wasting a lot of resources. All of that could become really good garden compost and fertiliser, but we're chucking it away. We're giving it to Waste Management New Zealand, who are making it into fertiliser and then making some money off it. I'd like to keep that for myself. And I've got this wee spot here, another unused spot. We have a lot of concrete on our property, and I'm not going to dig it all up, but I feel like we could use a lot of it, you know, in a better way. So here I feel like could be a big composting bay or big worm farm bay, something like that. And then that backs, the chickens are just through the gate here. Of course, we're being conscious of money, but like I said in another video, there's a lot of things that we've wanted to do for ages that we haven't done, you know, because of money, or we have other priorities. But we need to, I guess, get our priorities straight, because you can't eat money, and we want to make sure that we are as self-sufficient and as resilient as our family can be in an inner city suburb. And we're lucky we've got lots of space, we've got lots of options, and we don't have a plan to dig up this front lawn just yet. My husband actually really loves this lawn, so that would be probably the very last thing to go. I'd have to do a lot of other things first. But in here I'll be amping up the strawberries. They'll be due to be split very soon. The chickens have been here, so it's all a bit of a mess. I've cleared out the tomatoes around here. Hey chicky chicks. And I'm just letting them dig around, and I will have to give that a really good clean out very soon. Once I finish the backyard, I'll be moving on to the front yard. But this was really good. Ow! There's a chicken pecking my leg. Go away. That hurt. So in here we had our tomatoes, but it was all very ad hoc. It wasn't, well, you can see it's not very tidy. It's a blooming mess, isn't it? It had Jerusalem artichokes, which I really wish I had never planted here. So we're going to have to work really hard to try and dig those out. I'm going to get the chickens in here once I've cleared it, so they can really have a good scratch around. But what I want to put in here is reinforce concrete mesh on some waratahs. I think in other countries you might call them star pickets. So I can get more tomatoes here, and they can grow easier, they can grow better. I will hopefully have a greenhouse, but if I don't have a greenhouse, that's what I want to do. Yeah, and we've got our batch as well, which has a massive lawn. It's on 2 sections. So we have decided on that section to dig up the backyard and to plant pumpkin, corn, and what was that other thing? Potatoes. Pumpkin, corn and potatoes we're going to grow, and we're just going to get a rotary hoe in and do that. Just while I'm here, I think I'll just show you. I mean, it's the most insane apple I've ever seen. I should really pick his, I don't know, it's very big. And that's a Monty Surprise, and that's a heritage apple here in New Zealand. I have small hands, but quite, you can see how big that is, right? It's huge. There's only 2 of them. Oh, so this is what I mean by a waratah. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's so bright. I can't see what I'm showing you. So this here actually was a free tree from a place in Wanganui, and they are a group of people who want to resurrect this heritage apple tree, Monty Surprise, and you just have to pay them for the postage. So for me, because I'm in Otautahi, the postage was quite expensive, but if you lived closer to Wanganui, it wouldn't be so much, or I think you can even pick it up. So they actually sent me that one and a little tiny one, which I've outside my gate, and it's doing really well also. So this year I'd like to get it filled in. I love hydrangeas, so I definitely like more hydrangeas. I definitely have daydreams of having cut flowers on my table every single day. Well, maybe not every single day, but you know, every week a new bunch of cut flowers. I really like flowers. We've got some stuff that needs to come out that just grows, you know. You think you've got rid of it and then it comes back again. The Buxus hedging's come along okay, and that's just for fun, isn't it? It's just because it's a type of garden I like. Yeah, so that's where we're at. We've got a couple of options for increasing our productivity. One is the greenhouse, one is tidying up this little corner section, and one of course is this big piece of lawn we've got here. I'll also be looking in the backyard to do something. Sorry, I didn't show you guys that. I'll take you there now. So here what I'd like to do, where I have the majority of our fruit trees. So we have, I think about 25 feijoa trees, and I've planted them really close together so that they can become a hedge, otherwise known as a fedge. There's some feijoa trees back along here along the garage. I'm actually going to take them out. There's 5 of them. They're not doing very well there, and I would like our garage to be turned into a flat. I think that's a good way forward to make our home more secure, more resilient, and to be able to gain an income without having to go to work. But anyway, in this bit here, we've got 3 big fruit trees. That one there over here is actually just a weeping cherry, so that's not a fruit tree. That was a tree I planted because my mum always liked weeping cherry trees, so I planted that in her memory. What I'm going to do is bring the chickens in here, so put up the temporary fence along here and let them dig this all up. So over winter I'm hoping this will all be dug up and that I will be able to heavily plant trees in here and some easy growing vegetables and some berries. That's the plan. So this here is going to become my food forest, and then I'll have just still my main garden here. And I guess one day it might be nice to have more of a food forest and less of a main garden, but we'll just see how, let's just see how the world travels. Decide later. So there we go, that's all my garden plans. I hope that gives you some food for thought. We've got lots of trees to prune. There's certainly a lot of work for us to do over the next wee while. I think our list is getting pretty hefty as we kind of dream and scheme about how we want to move this property forward. But when you have these reminders that life is not always secure, that we can't always go on as we are, regardless of whether it's this conflict or something else in the future, it does just, I don't know, A, it makes you feel really grateful for what you have, but B, it spurs me into action because I know that I have to do just a little bit more. I just have to push myself a little bit more to do a little bit better for myself and my family. Okay, take care. I look forward to catching you next time. Bye for now.